loud, not because he chases attention, but because wherever he goes, destruction follows. Naoya Inoue doesn't wear opponents down. He erases them. A world champion across 4 weight divisions. A knockout ratio so brutal. It plants doubt in his opponents before the first bell even rings. Every punch has purpose. Every opening is seen, measured, taken. And by the time his rivals recognize the danger, standing across from them, the outcome is already sealed. When the final bell fades, the dominance doesn't vanish. It remains. No chaos, no excess, no noise, just quiet wealth, relentless discipline, and total control. Multi-million-dollar purses earned the hard way, and a life built with the same precision. That defines every second he spends in the ring. So, before we break down the speed, the power, and the pound-for-pound brilliance of Naoya Inoue, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because this isn't just boxing, this is perfection weaponized. Naoya Inoue was born on April 10th, 1993, in the quiet city of Zama, Japan, far removed from flashing cameras and blood-soaked canvases. Nothing about him announces danger. He doesn't swagger. He doesn't taunt. He doesn't perform. But when the bell rings, silence turns to thunder. His punches don't simply land, they detonate. Nearly 9 out of 10 men who face him are stopped. And when world titles are at stake, survival becomes a rarity. Opponents don't just lose to Inoue. They unravel, overwhelmed by speed, precision, and violence that arrives without warning. Yet this isn't just a story about power. Plenty of fighters hit hard. What separates Inoue is what he's done with that power. In the ruthless 4-belt era, where undisputed champions are meant to be once in a generation, he didn't just reach the summit. He claimed it twice. Terence Crawford did it. Alexander Usyk did it. And quietly, methodically, so did Naoya Inoue. From dismantling the bantamweight division to storming through super bantamweight, 2023 became the year doubt disappeared. Champions fell one by one. Belts followed. And when it ended, Inoue stood alone. The first fighter ever to unify all 4 titles in that division. The boxing world was forced to pay attention. Pound-for-pound rankings placed him at number 1, a position no Japanese boxer had ever held. Fighter of the Year honors followed, along with global respect and international acclaim. Still, nothing about him changed. Outside the ropes, he remained calm and almost invisible. Inside them, he was ruthless. At just over 5'5" and barely 119 pounds, his frame seems ordinary, but the empire around him is anything but. With multi-million-dollar purses, endorsements, and an estimated net worth near $8 million, Inoue has proven that precision can be just as profitable as brute force. And yet, the most dangerous thing about Naoya Inoue isn't what he's already done. It's the question still unanswered. If this is the monster at his peak, how much further can he go? Long before the belts, before the global stages and sold-out arenas, Naoya Inoue was already separating himself. As a teenager inside Japan's fiercely disciplined amateur system, he wasn't just winning. He was announcing something dangerous. Gold medals at the Interscholastic and Junior National Championships. A bronze at the Asian Youth Championships. Hard, unforgiving battles against future world contenders. Every tournament added another quiet warning to the boxing world. And when he claimed gold at the 2011 President's Cup, the message was impossible to ignore. Japan didn't just have another talented amateur. It had a storm forming. When he turned professional in 2012, there was no patience, no easing into the deep end. His debut ended in destruction. Chris Omeo was flattened. In his second fight, the ending came in a single round. Then came Yuki Sano, a bout that revealed something even more alarming than power. Inoue broke his hand early, yet continued fighting with only his left, repeatedly dropping Sano until the referee had no choice but to intervene. It wasn't just violence anymore. It was grit, adaptability, and an unsettling calm under pressure. The rise was meteoric. Just 4 fights into his career, Inoue tied a Japanese record by winning the national light flyweight title. 2 fights later, He stepped straight into a world championship and demolished Adrian Hernandez to claim the WBC belt. Most fighters would have stayed there, defended, built to resume. Inoue did the opposite. He chased danger. He jumped 2 divisions to challenge Omar Narvaez, a veteran champion who had never been stopped in over 40 fights. 2 rounds later, Narvaez was folded by a body shot so brutal it echoed across the sport. That night, the nickname stuck. The monster had arrived. At super flyweight, Inoue reigned with an air of inevitability. Challengers came prepared, proud, confident, and left broken. Yet one fight never materialized. Roman Gonzalez, the king of the division, stood just out of reach. For many fighters, that missed unification would have been a career-long frustration. For Inoue, it became fuel. He didn't complain. He didn't wait. He moved on. By 2018, his body had outgrown super flyweight, and bantamweight became the next target. His debut was a warning shot heard worldwide. Jamie McDonnell, a reigning champion who had never been stopped, was obliterated in less than a round. Then came the World Boxing Super Series, a tournament designed to separate the elite from the rest. Inoue didn't just win it. He terrorized it. Juan Carlos Payano vanished in 70 seconds. Emmanuel Rodriguez, unbeaten and confident, was dropped 3 times in 2 rounds. Each fight felt shorter, colder, more clinical. Then came Nonito Donaire. The 2019 WBSS final wasn't dominance, it was war. 12 brutal rounds against a legend who refused to break. Inoue fought through a fractured orbital bone, bloodied but unyielding, digging deep into reserves no one had ever seen. When the final bell rang, he had not only won the Muhammad Ali Trophy, he had earned universal respect. That night transformed him. The monster was no longer just a destroyer. He was a warrior. From there, momentum became something closer to destiny. Jason Maloney, Michael Dasmarinas, Aaron Dipine, all dismantled with ruthless efficiency. In 2022, Donaire returned for revenge. This time, there was no war. Inoue dropped him in the first round and finished him in the second, a chilling reminder of how far he had evolved. Later that year, against Paul Butler, Inoue completed the unthinkable. One by one, he unified every bantamweight title, becoming Japan's first undisputed champion of the 4-belt era. And then, he did something no one expected. He gave it all up. Every belt, every title, vacated, not out of necessity, but ambition. Because greatness, to Inoue, was never about holding ground. It was about taking new territory. His next target was Stephen Fulton, the undefeated American champion at super bantamweight. Analysts warned it was too much, too fast. Inoue answered in 8 rounds, breaking Fulton down and stopping him with surgical precision. Months later, he dismantled Marlon Tapales to unify the division, becoming the first fighter in boxing history to be undisputed in 2 weight classes during the 4-belt era. By 2024, he was no longer just a champion. He was a national symbol. At the Tokyo Dome, before a roaring home crowd, he was knocked down for the first time in his professional career by Luis Nery. For a brief moment, the impossible seemed real. Then Inoue stood up, calm, focused, ruthless. He regrouped, adjusted, and obliterated Nery in the 6th round. The message was unmistakable. He could fall, but he could not be broken. Defenses followed. TJ Doheny, Kim Yi-jun. Then in 2025, he traveled to Las Vegas and stopped Ramon Cardenas, recording his 23rd knockout in world title fights, surpassing Joe Louis's legendary record. Against Murajan Akhmadaliyev, the knockout didn't come. Instead, something else did. A masterclass. Footwork, timing, control. Inoue showed the world he wasn't just power, he was complete. And still, the path ahead remains terrifyingly open. With Alan Picasso looming and whispers of a generational clash with fellow Japanese star Junto Nakatani growing louder, the question refuses to fade. He has conquered divisions, shattered records, carried an entire nation onto boxing's highest stage. But if this is what Naoya Inoue has already become, what does the end of this story even look like? What does life look like when you've conquered everything inside the ring? For Naoya Inoue, it's not about flash or excess. It's about precision, balance, and quiet mastery. The monster may dominate opponents with explosive violence, but off the canvas, his world is one of calculated elegance. Every choice reflects the discipline that made him a legend. His home in Yokohama is a sanctuary. Modern, minimalist, and carefully curated, it blends serene Japanese design with subtle luxury. Within its walls, trophies gleam quietly, marking victories that once seemed impossible. Mementos of past battles sit alongside the laughter of children who keep him grounded. For a man whose profession thrives in chaos, home is where he finds stillness, focus, and a sense of purpose that no knockout can give. On the road, his vehicles tell the same story. Speed, precision, and comfort converge in his collection. The sleek Lexus LS embodies Japanese pride and understated prestige. The Mercedes-Benz S-Class signals global stature without demanding attention. When he craves performance and adrenaline, a Porsche 911 answers the call, reflecting a champion who thrives on mastery over speed and control. Practicality, too, has its place. A Toyota Alphard offers space and security for family, while a Range Rover Sport combines power and elegance for moments when presence matters. Each car mirrors his dual life: a disciplined athlete, a global icon, and a man who values those closest to him. Time, too, is a luxury Inoue honors. His collection of watches, Rolex Audemars Piguet, symbolizes more than wealth. They are milestones of discipline, focus, and precision, quietly marking each chapter of a career defined by relentless ambition. Outside the ring, where the roar of the crowd fades and the gloves come off, Inoue reveals a different kind of strength. For all the ferocity that earns him the name Monster, his truest power may lie in tenderness and humility. In 2015, he married his high school sweetheart, Kene, the quiet anchor who believed in him long before the spotlight ever found him. Together, they are raising 3 children, deliberately shielding their world from the noise of fame, choosing privacy and simplicity over spectacle. But even in the quiet moments of family life, boxing is never far away. His father, Shingo, once an amateur fighter himself, has been more than just a coach. He's been the architect of Naoya's discipline and belief. From the very beginning, every partnership, every endorsement has been more than just a contract. It has been an extension of who he is. As the face of SixPad, Japan's cutting-edge fitness technology, and the ambassador for winning Japan, the glove trusted by the world's elite fighters, Inoue has turned his image into a symbol of precision and excellence. Corporations like NTT Docomo and Murohin, appearances at international events like Riyadh Season, and global media recognition have all contributed to a brand that is unmistakably his. Respected, dominant, and understated, yet impossible to ignore. And it is that very understatement that makes him unique. He doesn't shout. He doesn't trash talk. He doesn't need to. The nickname Monster was earned in the ring, through fists that speak louder than words. His calm exterior, his respectful demeanor, only amplifies the violence he unleashes once the bell rings, creating a contrast that fascinates fans worldwide. Every knockout, every title, every belt is a demonstration not just of skill, but of a philosophy. Let results speak for themselves. Yet his influence doesn't stop at his own success. Inoue has consistently extended his reach beyond fame and fortune. During the global pandemic, portions of his fight purses went to the Red Cross. In the wake of earthquakes and typhoons, he has stepped forward for devastated communities. He invests in education for underprivileged children and funds youth sports programs, nurturing the next generation of fighters and dreamers. While many could have allowed fame to make them untouchable, Inoue remains grounded. His compassion as deliberate as his punches, his generosity as calculated as his timing in the ring. Behind the empire, however, lies the same foundation that shaped him from the start: family. Guided by his father, Shingo, whose discipline and wisdom molded the young prodigy, and alongside his brother Takuma, who shares both stage and spirit. Inoue's story is not just one of personal triumph. It is the continuation of a legacy, a lineage of dedication, resilience, and honor. And so the question lingers, even as he stands at the pinnacle of both sport and influence. When a man builds a dynasty in the ring, crafts a brand that commands respect worldwide, and gives back with a generosity that touches countless lives, what kind of legend does he become? If strength is measured in impact, and greatness in both action and example, then for Naoya Inoue, the story is far from over, and the world can only wait to see just how much farther the monster will reach. Before you go, if you want to support the channel and be part of what we're building, consider becoming a channel member through the link in the description. Members get early access to new videos, the chance to suggest future topics, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more long-form boxing documentaries like this one. And when you're ready, check out our deep dive into Anthony Joshua, another career shaped by dominance, discipline, and legacy. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next chapter.